Hi, I'm Jonah. Nice to meet you. Before I tell you my story, kindly tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I like to know where you're from. Now let's dive in. I used to think helping family was a duty, no matter the cost. My mom always said, blood is thicker than water. I believed her, until I learned blood can drown you faster than any river. It started small. At 24, I was working a decent job, living frugally, and trying to save up for my own place. Mom called me one evening, her voice shaky but urgent. Sweetheart, I just need a little help, just this once. My business took a hit, but I'll pay you back in a month. She ran a small boutique consulting firm, though if I'm honest, I never really understood exactly what she did. Something about client management and investment opportunities. I didn't question it. She was my mom. I took out a $3,000 personal loan, transferred it to her the same night, and told myself it was temporary. She hugged me the next day, promising I was saving the family. It felt good at first, but then a month passed. No repayment. Then another. The excuses came quick, clients backing out, unexpected expenses, just bad timing. Each time, her voice was so convincing, like she was asterisk this close to turning it all around. Then came the call that changed everything. Baby, I need you to co-sign something for me, just to get me approved. It's a small mortgage, just a stepping stone until my business bounces back. I hesitated. I knew co-signing meant I'd be responsible if she didn't pay. But she made it sound harmless, almost noble. Me, investing in our family's future. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We sat in a bank office, signing papers I didn't fully read. The mortgage was for more than I earned in a year. I told myself she'd make every payment on time. She promised. That was 6 months ago. Today, I'm staring at a letter from the bank. Asterisk, past due payment. Immediate action required. Asterisk, my stomach twists. Not only has she missed 2 payments, but late fees are piling up. And my credit score? It's falling like a stone in water. When I confronted her, she didn't seem panicked, just annoyed. Don't get dramatic. I've handled worse. I just need a little more from you to catch up. A little more? I'd already given her every extra dollar I had. I'd taken out 2 more personal loans, one for $4,000, another for $3,500, both under my name. Add that to the first loan and the mortgage, and I was drowning in over $10,000 of debt that wasn't even mine. And here's the part that hit me hardest. She never once said, thank you. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed thinking about how I got here, how I ignored the red flags, how I believed every excuse. My mother had built this house of lies brick by brick, and I had willingly supplied the cement. Somewhere deep down, I realized something chilling. My mom wasn't just bad with money. She was using me, and I didn't know how to stop it without losing her entirely. The next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls from Mom and a text that read, "Call me ASAP. Urgent." I almost didn't. My stomach still churned from the argument we'd had the night before, but I called anyway. Her voice was all business. "Listen, we're fine, but I just need you to help me smooth something over. The bank's gotten jumpy because of a delay in one of my deals. I need you to transfer $1,500 today so they see activity on the account." I told her I didn't have $1,500 lying around. Her sigh on the other end wasn't the sigh of someone in trouble. It was the sigh of someone inconvenienced. "Don't make this harder than it is. You have a credit card, don't you?" That was the first time I felt the chill. It wasn't a plea anymore. It was an expectation. I tried to dig deeper, to understand what deal she was talking about. She danced around details, throwing out phrases like investment recovery, pending contracts, and client disputes. The more she talked, the more it sounded like smoke and mirrors. Later that day, I did something I'd never done before. I called one of her clients, whose name I'd overheard. He wasn't a client. He was an old friend of hers who admitted she'd borrowed money from him too, and never paid it back. That's when the picture started to sharpen. My mom wasn't running a struggling business. She was plugging holes in a sinking ship with other people's money, mine included. And the ship was going down fast. The calls from creditors started coming to me now. Somehow, my number had made it onto every alternate contact form. I'd answer and hear things like, "We're calling about the balance due on account number. We show you as a co-applicant on this loan." Every conversation ended with me scrambling to explain I wasn't the one behind the charges. while silently panicking because legally, I might as well have been. Then the late notices for the mortgage kept stacking up. I called her again, desperate. Mom, if you miss another payment, they could foreclose. This will destroy my credit for years. Her tone was ice. I've sacrificed for you since the day you were born. Don't talk to me about destroying your credit. This is about family survival. Family survival. That phrase rang in my ears all night. To her, my future was just another asset she could liquidate. I started running the numbers, and the reality punched me in the gut. My take-home pay barely covered the minimum payments on my personal loans, the mortgage arrears, and my own living expenses. I was one bad month away from defaulting on everything. That's when the anxiety attacks started. I'd be at work, typing an email, and suddenly my chest would tighten, my vision blur. I was 24, healthy, and on the verge of collapse. Not because of my choices, but because of hers. Still, part of me clung to hope. Maybe if I just helped her one last time, she'd catch up and set things right. But deep down, I knew this wasn't a storm passing over. This was the new climate. And if I didn't change something soon, I was going to lose more than my credit score. 2 weeks later, I hit my limit. It was a Tuesday, and I'd just gotten off a 12-hour shift. I was scrolling through my bank app, trying to decide if I could afford groceries, when I saw it, another automatic withdrawal tied to the mortgage. Only this time, it had overdrafted my account. I slammed my phone down and paced the apartment. My hands were shaking. I'd been polite, patient, understanding, but my life was unraveling while she acted like it was just a rough patch. That night, I decided to gather every piece of evidence I could. I pulled my credit reports from all 3 bureaus. Page after page, there were debts I recognized, my personal loans, the mortgage, and debts I didn't. Credit inquiries from lenders I'd never applied to. 2 credit cards I didn't even know existed, both maxed out. My name was tied to all of it. I stared at the report until my eyes blurred. This wasn't just carelessness. This was deliberate. When I called her the next day, I didn't lead with a question. I know about the extra credit cards. I saw the applications. My name is on them, Mom. There was a pause. Not shock. Not guilt. Just calculation. I told you, everything I'm doing is for the family. You think I like having to go to these lengths? I'm protecting us. Protecting us? My voice cracked. You're wrecking me. I can't even buy groceries without checking if I've got $10 left, and you're opening credit cards in my name? She switched tactics, her voice softening. Sweetheart, you're overreacting. Once this big client pays out, I'll pay off everything. You just have to trust me. But I didn't trust her anymore. Not after finding out she'd been using my identity like a spare set of car keys, something she could just take and use whenever she pleased. That weekend, I reached out to a close friend from church. I didn't tell him everything at first, just that I was having trouble with family. He invited me to a small group meeting. Sitting in that room, hearing people share about boundaries and toxic relationships, I realized something I'd been afraid to admit. Helping her wasn't love, it was enabling. When I got home, I wrote down every cent I'd given her. The 3 personal loans, the mortgage payments, the overdraft fees. Over $10,000, all gone. And for what? No stability. No gratitude. Just more demands. The next time she called, I let it go to voicemail. She left a message, her tone sharp. You can't ignore me. We're in this together. Remember that. But I knew better now. We weren't in this together. I was in the hole, and she was still digging. Something had to change, and I was done waiting for her to change first. The silence between us lasted 4 days. 4 days without her voice filling my phone with demands, guilt trips, or urgent emergencies. I should have felt relief, but it was like holding my breath underwater. On the 5th day, she showed up at my apartment. No warning, just a knock that carried a sharp, impatient rhythm. When I opened the door, she brushed past me like she owned the place. We need to talk, she said, tossing her purse onto my couch. I stood there, heart pounding. About what? Another loan? Another credit card in my name? Her eyes narrowed. Don't start. You've been ignoring my calls, and that's not how family treats each other. That word again. Family, she wielded it like a weapon, like it erased every boundary, every consequence. I took a breath. My palms were sweating, but I didn't move. Mom, I'm done. She blinked. Done with what? With bailing you out. With giving you money. With letting you use my name and my credit. I can't do it anymore. You've taken over $10,000 from me, and I'm drowning. You're killing my future. Her laugh was short and bitter. $10,000? You think that's a lot? You don't know real struggle. I know it's not my job to fix your mistakes. I shot back. The room went still. Her jaw tightened, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before, fear. But it was gone in a second, replaced with the cold, hard defiance I knew too well. You're selfish. After all I've done for you. Feeding you, raising you, giving you everything. This is how you repay me? That hit me like a punch, but I didn't back down. Raising me was your responsibility. This, what you're doing now, is not love. It's control. Her face flushed. If you don't help me, the bank could take the house. That's not my house, I said quietly. And it's not my debt. Not anymore. I told her I'd already contacted the bank about removing myself from the mortgage. It wasn't going to be easy, but I'd started the process. I'd also frozen my credit, so she couldn't open anything else in my name. The fury in her eyes was almost enough to make me flinch. Almost. She grabbed her purse, muttering something about ungrateful children, and stormed out. The door slammed so hard the frame rattled. I stood there in the silence that followed, my hands still trembling. My chest felt both heavy and strangely light. I'd finally said the words I'd been afraid to speak for months. But as the adrenaline faded, another feeling crept in, grief. Not just for the money I'd lost, but for the relationship I thought we had. It hit me that night. I wasn't just setting financial boundaries. I was setting emotional ones. And that meant accepting that my mother might never forgive me. The days after our confrontation were eerily quiet. No calls. No knocks at my door. No urgent texts demanding money. For the first time in months, my phone wasn't a source of anxiety. But the damage was still there, on paper, in my bank account, and in my chest. I started small. The first step was facing the mountain of debt I'd taken on for her. I listed everything. Loan number 1/$3,000. Loan number 2/$4,000. Loan number 3/$3,500. Overdraft fees, $200 plus. Mortgage arrears, too much to even look at without getting dizzy. It was overwhelming, but I remembered what my friend from church had told me. You can't pay off all your debts at once, but you can take the first step today. I picked the smallest loan and attacked it. Every paycheck, I put extra toward it, even if it meant eating ramen for a week. Seeing that first balance drop to zero gave me a rush of relief I hadn't felt in a long time. I also called the bank about the mortgage again. It wasn't easy. They told me removing my name would require her to refinance in her own name, and with her credit, that was a long shot. But at least now I knew the rules of the game. I stopped making payments for her. If she wanted to keep the house, she'd have to step up. It was hard, harder than I expected, not to cave when she eventually reached out. 2 weeks later, she texted me. I'm sorry. I just need help one more time. I'll make it right. I stared at the screen for a long time. My old reflex was to help, to believe her. But I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, but because I finally understood that saying no was the only way to protect both of us from this cycle. Instead, I leaned into healthier connections, friends from church, coworkers who knew nothing about my family drama, even joining a volunteer group that served meals to people in need. Giving my time instead of my money felt lighter. As the months passed, I saw progress. My credit score inched back up. My savings account grew again, even if just by $50 a month. Most importantly, the constant knot of anxiety in my chest loosened. I won't lie, there are days I miss how things used to be before I saw the truth. I miss believing my mom was someone I could trust without question. But the reality is, love without boundaries isn't love. It's surrender. I still pray for her. I hope one day she gets the help she needs, not just financially, but deep down where the real wounds are. As for me, I've learned that protecting my future isn't selfish, it's survival. And I'll never let anyone, not even family, take that from me again. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my story, don't forget to like and hit subscribe. You will also enjoy other stories on AJ Family Drama. Until next time, bye.